Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours, and let the culinary adventure begin.
President Hage Geingob last week instructed National Planning Commission Director General Obed Kajode to fly to Brussels to sign a European Union exclusive partnership agreement, and this was despite International Relations Minister Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah announcing in Parliament last month that the country would shun the pact due to issues raised by Attorney General Festus Mbandeka. Now, Mbandeka pointed to several clauses in the EPA, also known as the Samoa Agreement, that contradict the Namibian constitution. On page 3, a man who was convicted of rape as a 15-year-old in 2015 and sentenced to 14 years in prison has failed in a court application to be treated as a juvenile offender in his consideration for release on parole. Jonathan Maiba Kolela argued in his application to the Windhoek High Court that as a juvenile offender, he is entitled to be considered for parole as soon as he has served half of the term of his imprisonment. However, the court ruled that Kolela, who was 18 when he was found guilty, was no longer a juvenile when he began serving the prison sentence. Let's move over to Republican. 12 international companies are lining up for a chance to build a multi-billion-dollar railway that will connect Namibia and Botswana. The bid forms part of a public-private partnership agreement for Namibia's neighboring country. The development stage of the project is expected to begin in January 2025. Botswana's Transport Minister Eric Molale told Bloomberg that many companies are keen to finance the construction of the 1,500-kilometer railway line. There's a lot of money out there in the world, and unsolicited offers have come in, he said. The United Arab Emirates, the Qataris, the Chinese, the Indians have said that for them it is not a long railway, and in fact a relatively short one that they can do very quickly, Molale added. Now, the mushrooming of illegal sand mining activities remains a challenge in Namibia, and the Environment Ministry has developed draft regulations specific to sand mining in terms of the Environmental Management Act. This is to improve coordination and regulation of this natural resource. However, these regulations will only be gazetted once the act is amended. Environment Ministry Executive Director Theophilus Ngitila said this in his end-of-year statement. According to him, a total of 1,600 applications were received for environmental clearance certificates during the year, of which 984 were issued. Let's move over to the front page of Agomana Zeitung. The Ministry of Environment has been able to arrest more pangolin poachers in recent months. But this is no reason to rejoice. More and more pangolins are being poached in Namibia. The 27 member states of the European Union have decided to put a stop to Russia's diamond trade. All diamonds imported by the EU and the G7 states must be verified by a single point of contact in Antwerp. Minister Alwendo criticizes this. Stay with us as we continue with the Namibian after the break.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
Let's continue with the Namibian in the newspaper review. The Zambezi Regional Pastors Forum supports banning the sale of alcohol during the festive seasons, as this is a time for families to connect and reconcile, it says. The forum's chairperson, Benjamin Limbo, says selling alcohol is a cardinal sin. In a separate story on the paper's front page, Bank of Namibia statistics show that over the past 5 years, there were combined bank transactions worth 397.5 billion Namibian dollars during December. In 2022, Namibians indulged in festivities with a whopping expenditure of 117.7 billion in bank card transactions. Affirmative repositioning leader Job Mpanda is fuming over the government's decision to sign a new partnership agreement between European Union and the Organization of African, Caribbean and Pacific States, also known as the Samoa Agreement. This is after the government pronounced itself against this move in November. The agreement, which Namibia signed on Monday, covers strategic priorities such as growth and development, peace and security, environmental sustainability, and climate change and human rights, democracy, as well as governance. Let's move over to the front page of New Era. Namibia Agro Marketing and Trade Agency has divulged shortfalls stemming from limited financial resources coupled with low production from local farmers. And this is as some of the major limitations prohibiting the full execution of the agency mandate and planned activities. The agency revealed its limitations to New Era this week while responding to questions relating to the farmers' criticism on its alleged failure to execute its mandate of managing the fresh produce business hubs and national strategic food reserve infrastructure. The organization is responsible for the marketing and trading of agricultural produce in the country. And on page 3, a school principal who stands accused of abuse of learners and is said to have been ruling the school through fear is set for a disciplinary hearing next year. The Directorate of Education in Kavango West were called earlier this year to the Satotwa Junior Primary School in the Kashi Nakashi education circuit to remedy the broken relationship between the school and community after over 140 learners boycotted the school as their way of petitioning the alleged abuse from the principal. And in Market Watch, employment in manufacturing rose year on year in the past quarter, while it decreased in the wholesale as well as the retail trade sector. According to Bank of Namibia's latest quarterly bulletin, the manufacturing sector employed 0.9% more workers in the past quarter compared to the same period in 2022. Now, Australian company Bannerman Energy, which has been operating in the Erongo region since 2006, recently received a mining license. More on this in economic news after the break.
We are all seeking connection to each other, to the world, to the spaces we exist in.
Poor sportsmanship right now from the lads.
You might be physically ready, your body is ready, but mentally.
Here's another chance, and it is a goal from Vindo
Wys, hy sê wie hy is aan neertrek en daai bal het my grond gevat. Ja, hy het grond gevat en is
But just enough next.
Running that mountain up. Okay, so we will be doing this for the mountain climber. More advanced, slightly advanced.
So is jou trolley reg? Want
I love it. I love it. So then
kickstart our countdown at number 5 with this one. Op Netwerk TV se Klets Kompas gesels ons nuus van 'n Maandag tot Donderdag. Ons kyk ook na die weer en meer. Stories wat jou raak en stories wat saak maak.
They've made a mistake in denying me bail, and they've made several other mistakes in many other cases.
The channels that teach us something new or reflect our expression. So it goes beyond switching to the right station. It's about choosing the experience that can adorn the present, dressing it with our tastes as we expand our preferences, because what we are actually connecting to is boundless, limitless human energy. And this is the spirit of NTV. Australian company Bannerman Energy, which has been operating in the Erongo region since 2006, recently received a mining license for its Etango uranium project from the Mines Ministry. This will be the 4th uranium mine in Namibia, along with Rossing Uranium and Husab Mine and Langer Heinrich Uranium. Trekkopi is currently closed. All these mines are located in Erongo and within nature conservation parks. LHU was inactive several years ago, but will be reactivated and is expected to be operational again by April next year. We are pleased to announce that we have received the mining license and the first contracts for the first phase of the Etango project have been awarded, the company confirmed. Now, the award of the license enables Bannerman to immediately award 2 key contracts for the construction of a temporary water supply, as well as an access road to the site. The road will provide controlled access to the site with minimal impact from the start of construction on the surrounding area. The agreements have a total value of approximately 36 million Namibian dollars and have been awarded to Namibian companies, Bannerman said. Let's head into the economic indicators. The Namibian dollar trades at 18.26 next to the US dollar, 19.99 next to the euro, 23.02 Namibian dollars gets you 1 British pound, and for 1 Chinese yuan you get 2.55 Namibian dollars. Selected NSX stock closing prices mostly maintain their value. However, Namibia Breweries Limited is down 0.03%. Overall index closed up plus 0.65%, whilst the local index closed down 0.01%. Upticks in gold and Brent crude oil, but downturns in copper and platinum, platinum going down 0.38%. Now, the polling stations have closed in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and the process of counting votes has begun in Lubumbashi. An update in this and other news from the African continent after the break.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraifa. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and
The polling stations have closed in the DRC, and the process of counting votes has begun in Lubumbashi, a town in the southern region of this vast Central African nation. The election, which unfolded against a backdrop of economic challenges as well as accusations of irregularities, features incumbent President Felix Tshisekedi facing a fragmented opposition. The opposition leaders have raised concerns about chaos and electoral irregularities, further adding complexity to an already high-stakes political landscape. Tshisekedi, who has overseen years of economic growth, now grapples with criticism of minimal job creation and escalating inflation. The voting process has been marred by administrative chaos and delays, amplifying fears that the Electoral Commission was ill-prepared for a ballot in a country comparable in size to the continental Western Europe. Among the prominent figures vying for the presidency are gynecologist Denis Mukwege and business magnate Moise Katumbi, both leaders in their own right. Mukwege, a Nobel Peace Prize laureate in 2018 for his work with rape victims, symbolizes a commitment to human rights and social justice. Katumbi, a former provincial governor, brings a business-oriented perspective to the political arena. However, both have voiced concerns over irregularities in the electoral process. In our next story, UN's food agency has temporarily halted food aid in parts of Sudan's central Gezira state, days after paramilitary rapid support forces took control of Avad Madani city in the state. A place of refuge has now become a battleground in a war that has already taken a horrific toll on civilians, the head of UN World Food Programme in Sudan, Eddie Rowe, said in a statement yesterday. This has forced the WFP to put on hold food deliveries in some locations in Gezira state at a time when people need our help the most. An estimated 300,000 have fled fighting in the state since Friday last week. The agency said WFP had been providing food aid to 800,000 people in Gezira and to those displaced by the conflict in Sudan's capital, Khartoum. There are concerns that the spillover of the fighting into Gezira could escalate Sudan's humanitarian crisis. Let's swing over to international news, starting with India. India's top drug controller has banned the use of a combination of drugs in children below the age of 4 to treat common cold. The ban comes in the wake of a spate of child deaths reported in the Gambia and Uzbekistan since last year, which were linked to Indian-made cough syrups. Manufacturers of these drugs, however, have denied any wrongdoing. The banned combination includes 3 drugs, chlorpheniramine, maleate, and phenylephrine, and was approved in 2015. It is used in cough syrups and tablets to treat symptoms of common cold. The order, which was made public yesterday, makes it compulsory for drug makers selling the combination to label their products with the warning that it should not be used by children below the age of 4. Indian cough syrups came under scrutiny last year after the WHO put out a global warning over 4 Indian-made cough syrups allegedly linked to the deaths of 66 children in the Gambia. Lab analysis of the samples of a syrup confirmed the presence of unacceptable amounts of diethylene glycol and another toxic alcohol called ethylene glycol. Similar deaths were reported in Uzbekistan, where 18 children had died till 2022, allegedly after consuming an Indian-manufactured cough syrup, according to the country's health ministry. Now, in India's Jammu region, at least 12 children between the age of 2 months and 6 years died in 2019 after drinking an allegedly toxic cough syrup. Iran yesterday hanged a woman convicted of murdering her husband, whom she married while still a child, defying an international campaign for clemency, rights groups said. Samira Sabzian, who had been in prison for the past decade, was executed at dawn in Ghazal Hesar prison in the Tehran satellite city of Karaj, the Norway-based Iran human rights group said. Her execution comes as concern grows over the numbers of people this year executed by Iran, where hundreds of people have been hanged mainly on drugs and murder charges, including more than a dozen women. IHR said Sabzian was a child bride who had married her husband at the age of 15 and had been a victim of domestic violence, according to relatives. The Hengal rights group also confirmed the execution of the woman, now believed to be in her late 20s or early 30s, saying that she was originally from the city of Khoramabad in the western Lorestan province. Amnesty International said it was horrified by the reports of the chilling execution, saying the mother of 2 was subjected to a forced and early marriage as a child. The Office of the UN High Commissioner on Human Rights said it was alarmed by the execution, saying Sabzian had been forced to marry her husband while aged 15. We again urge Iran to establish a moratorium on all executions with a view to abolishing death penalty, it added. The execution has so far not been reported by media inside Iran. Sabzian was arrested around a decade ago when she was aged 19 on charges of murdering her husband and then subsequently sentenced to death, IHR said. She had 2 children who she had not seen after her arrest until a final meeting in prison earlier this month, IHR also said. News from the world of sport follows the break.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouthwatering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
Let's get into the local sport news. Brave Warriors' final 28-man squad for AFCON 2024. The team will travel to Ghana for training camp. CAF permitted a final squad of 27 players, 4 more than the initial 23 from previous tournaments. The registration of the 4 additional players on the final list is only an option and not an obligation. In case the team submits a final squad between 24 and 27 players, only 23 of them will be available for selection for each match during the tournament. Coach Colin Benjamin said he will only take along 23 players to AFCON, not 27. 7 big-name players in the league that didn't make the final also didn't make the AFCON final squad. The 11 Morning Stars sport field next to Andimba Toivo Airport in Ondangwa will host the 5th annual Okapia football tournament from 21 to 24 December. The event, primarily sponsored by Philip Lucas of Okapia Liner Transport, has a twofold purpose. It is staged to help keep the community, particularly the youth, engaged in positive activities during the holiday season. It is also a platform for players to get scouted by teams campaigning in organized mainstream football structures. Helao Nafidi Legends are the current champions for the veterans section, with Omandindi FC from Windhoek the holders in the youth category. Now some action from the Papkewitz Foundation's athletics camp at the Veneta Stadium in Swakopmund. The primary objective of the Papkewitz athletics program is to promote as well as to develop athletics at every level through supporting Namibian athletes in local and international competitions. We swing over to international sport after the break.
Hello and welcome to today's Sports Rep Show.
I am your host, Jesse Jackson Kauraifa. In replay, Namibia, who had won the toss for the first time on this tour.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with tennis news, both on the WTA for women's and
Let's get straight into international sports. Liverpool got the best of West Ham 5-1 to reach the League Cup semi-finals yesterday, easing the frustration of their weekend Premier League stalemate against Manchester United. Curtis Jones scored twice and Dominic Szoboszlai, Cody Gakpo and Mohamed Salah were all on the scoresheet for Jurgen Klopp's dominant team. They joined Chelsea, Fulham and Middlesbrough in the last 4 of the competition. No team has won more League Cups than Liverpool, who lifted the trophy for the 9th time in the 2021-22 season, and they tore into visitors from the start at Anfield. Now, the Proteas women top 4 dominated the Bangladeshi bowling attack to power their side to a comfortable 8-wicket series leveling win in the second ODI at the JB Marks Oval in Potchefstroom from Wednesday night. Gotta wrap myself around that word. Zimbabwe Cricket said Thursday that 2 national players have been suspended for recreational drug use. The concerned players, Wesley Madevere and Brandon Mavuta, both tested positive for a banned recreational drug in an out-of-competition case recorded during a recent in-house doping test, the board said in a statement. If you're just joining us, this is NMH at 1, and we'll get into the highlights from today's broadcast after the break.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
In the highlights, the polling stations have closed in the DRC and the process of counting votes has begun in Lubumbashi, a town in the southern region of this vast Central African nation. India's top drug controller has banned the use of a combination of drugs in children below the age of 4 in order to treat the common cold. And the Brave Warriors' final 28-man squad for AFCON 2024 has been announced. The team will travel to Ghana for their training camp. Those have been your highlights. Remember to tune in every weekday at 1 p.m. to spend your lunch hour with NMH at 1, catching up on the latest news in Namibia, Africa, and the world. From me, Ashwin Berry. Cheers.